Let me start recording the daily recap for February 24th. So coming into the day, we have this big gap up on the futures. Actually took a long, like right about here after we got some clearance in the dip. Let me double check what about that would have been. Actually took it right about here. And there's some clearance on the dip, I believe. Or maybe that was like, anyways, on one of these dips, it looked like to me like we had a really good retracement from the pop, and I was actually looking for a further extension. So when the market opens today the way it was, then we kind of get this fairly trending, like roughly trending. There's nothing that really stands out as a setup here in the pre-market for SPY. In my opinion, it could have gone either way. And to even call this a classic front side short, I would really want this to clean up a bit more. You can say that there's a really weak one right here that you can take as an opportunity, right? Clear downtrend. So as soon as it starts to turn over and creates this double top, this could be, it would be a give and go since the first candle was green. But you could argue that there is a setup there, right? The cleanest setup that I didn't play but kind of called out that I was watching this morning, this was my top watch on the morning, was Palantir. Now Palantir here, this is a really clean front side short, actually, that you can write all the way down. You have good RVOL, you have a much larger and more obvious, right, bearish divergence on the RSI. You then get the quick bot to an overbought signal, and you kind of form this like downside trend, and then the big reversal. As soon as the reversal hits, and you already have the short bias that you see here on this bearish divergence that's forming, this is all to give and go. I did not take that give and go because I was really just uncertain about the way the market goes. If this market had gapped down, it would have been easier. If it had finished the gap or had a more explosive move, if it had done a better job of even holding around like 604, that would have been easier to play to the upside. But really where the market opened, in my opinion, was a really tough spot where it could go either way. Once the market started kind of waterfalling to the downside, I didn't really see a lot of opportunity in the noise because there really wasn't a lot of noise. There was really not a lot going on the market. So I was really patient and just kind of letting the price action play out because I didn't think that they had enough to get a good follow through much lower than this. There was a trend line I immediately started watching on this longer time frame here. We can see the lows from the gain carry trade blow up, and that actually did a good job of forming support. So like this was the longer time trend line that I was watching. When we kind of bounce off of that, it's not aligned. It's lined on the 4-hour though. But when we caught a bounce off that pretty strong, I started watching the EMAs here, and we get this really strong like first bounce, get to denial. I then see another denial, and that's what I'm watching. I'm watching these EMAs during the day, and then on our third attempt here. First of all, really important when you're just watching price action, it's really important that you're, keep it simple, right? We have a higher low. That's a good confirmation for a bullish trend to form, right? We pop right through the EMAs. I went ahead and took a long there. I went ahead and I took partials at like 15%. And then I also took the rest of the partials into this big green up move. We ended up getting a continuation, but for me, I still feel like the market, even at this point, is still in a really tough spot. So I really want it over the highs, or I really want this to establish a clear trend. So when I see a big green candle like that and I see the premiums really start to rip, I'm just going to take profits. I'm going to let it kind of balance itself out and kind of see where it sets up from there. Into the close, I called out that we have an inverse cup and handle playing out. I did not play this to the downside. I did go ahead and cut IWM. IWM was where I also made a really small attempt at some longs. Similar idea. We had this like longer term trend line here where we've seen good defense in the past off this trend line. So I was looking to see if maybe we wanted to form a real bounce here. You know, to me, when I look at this on the daily, let's put extended hours, I see a lot of consolidation on a very strong key level that I've been watching for a while. We've had this key level up here for a minute now. So when I see that we have a nice strong reclaim and a strong EMA, I think it's reasonable to try and take an attempt there. I didn't take any profits because honestly what I want to see is I wanted to see this get over like the 220 and get further confirmation. And then I want to fill this all the way up back to 226 is what I'm hunting for. We didn't get that. And then we got the weakness. So I was pretty quick to cut this one. I think it was just a minor scrape on the day. Honestly, I don't remember exactly. So we actually made a minor win. Oh, I forgot. We actually made some money off puts here. Oh, the bot did not catch the IWM sell. Well, shit. I thought the bot went back up. Okay, well, that's... all right. That really was not on my radar. I'm so used to just taking trades and it automatically posting. I thought I messaged Asa to get that back up and running. But I did close the IWM as soon as it broke below the EMAs. I could check my trade history here. Let's see what that looks like. It was like a 9% loss. Yeah, so pretty much break even. As soon as the AMAs gave out, market looked like it was going to roll over. It doesn't have the same sort of bearishness that we see from SPY. SPY basically found a double bottom. I think IWM was a lot more supportive. I would actually like to see this kind of round out tomorrow and see if we can get another attempt. The calls could print just fine, especially if NVIDIA is good. I'm just being more, let's say, impatient with the market right now. I'm being quick to get out. I did make an attempt on Square. Similar idea that I had with Palantir, just not as clean of a setup. And I got impatient with this one, even though it did start to play out, right? I was looking for consistent denials here on the EMA for the 1 minute. I didn't like the way that this was kind of getting over like an EMA convergence on the 1 minute. I don't know why this is doing such a bad job of clearing up. So we ended up closing that one at literally break even or for 2% gain. But this one did play out. It just really just the pre-market setup for this is just a lot noisier. It just really isn't as clean. And so there was part of me in the back of my head that just felt like I was kind of FOMOing into it a little bit because I missed this really great trade on Palantir. That was my main focus on the morning. So I just went ahead and cut it and decided that I was fine to miss on that one if it did play out. I just don't think that there's, the way that this is trending, I don't want to see something kind of trending nice and neatly with the market. Right. You do have, in a way, this like overbought on the first like green candle up. Right. But it's just not actually, you don't even have that. You have that kind of in the pre-market. Yeah. It's just not as clean in general. On the denial of the key level there, maybe when you get the denial here, maybe this is actually when we got the entry, isn't it? Yeah. I guess in hindsight, I have to say that was a good trade. I just didn't like where my mindset was. It was actually really a great trade. Good entry as soon as you get to the dial here. That was one we could have stuck with. Is that something to write down on the log? Like next time you keep with that one, you can write that all the way down and not get stopped out until here. Held that for like an hour and a half. So that's something I'll put in my notes. It's a good trade. It was overall a good day. Besides the wild lotto that we swung over the weekend, those call lottos we bought Friday, if I had at least gone to a Wednesday expiration, we 1-on-1 on that. But I just thought I just thought either this thing's going to go sideways or it's going to gap down or it's going to have a big, here's my thought on Friday, and then I'll take questions, guys. Sorry, I got a little rambly with Square. Obviously, I should have done a little review myself on that one. With the expansion of the VIX, my expectations for how the market's going to move start to expand as well. Like Noob said over the weekend, where me and him had that back and forth, I was in the mindset of like, I think this is over exaggerated because I haven't seen like a single headline, as I wrote in the weekly report, that makes me think that it justifies, an 11-point move to the downside. So I was expecting that if this was going to bounce, it was going to bounce to the 608. Since it didn't, and we actually found our way to new lows, and then we got the consistent selling into the close again. This is price action of a starkly different market, and I would want to call it a bear market. I want to be loading up the puts. I want to be more active to the downside, but I can't because of NVIDIA earnings. If NVIDIA blows out earnings, this market's going to flip on a dime and it's going to do a V-shaped recovery. So like, I don't want to get too far ahead of that. If NVIDIA wants to melt and the market wants to go further to the downside, like there's no reason for us to feel FOMO, to feel like we're missing out, right? This move is small. If we want to go into full bear market territory, I mean, this isn't like the August sell-off, right? We've got at least like 5 or 6 more big plunge days like we just had. So there's no reason to feel FOMO. There's no reason to really rush into this. We should be kind of watching some of the longer time frames. Looking at the way that the candles are forming here, nothing's very apparent. Just looks like a downtrend. If we do look at the TTM, we haven't quite fired the downside. So like momentum hasn't started. We haven't started building that bearish momentum with that precipitously climbing volatility. We did close above 18. That's still in a bearish territory, but we're not over 20. So we haven't hit like panic, right? We weren't able to hold 20, above it at all. So I'm just feeling like, okay, I'm not gonna get too bearish yet. Although the way that the price action is developing is pretty bearish. Okay, so something to keep in mind, guys. So now questions. Anyone got them? You can go finish some comp homework. Yep, absolutely, man. Yeah. Any questions at all? It was a very light day. Oh, I guess the one thing I didn't mention is we're up 65% on NVIDIA puts, and I intend to hold those. Yeah, NVIDIA is basically holding the market hostage. I swung the NVIDIA puts. If NVIDIA crashes from here, just with the way that this daily is still like reading bullish momentum, but we've like burned right through the supportive bullish EMAs, right? Like this is now in a bearish trend, like a bearish bias here, and it hasn't hit the TTM. NVIDIA could go well below the 113, right? Like this price action here is not great at all. It really needed a bigger bounce than it got. But this is not what you want to see at all, right? Now we're like in this like almost like a parallel channel right here. That's not so like literally we're in the potential where you want to see if we can maybe get some support on the midline that's kind of forming right there. If you don't, then you probably are going to the bottom of this parallel channel, right? And then maybe you could bounce, but you need, this is what we really want to be tracking right now. So I want to keep the lottos on because earnings can provide a nice reversal. It can be a catalyst that, drives stark change and the trajectory, but there's really no reason for me to let go of these puts when this really has the confirmations of the bearish signals that we're seeing right now. Even the way that this thing's just kind of like hovering and very, very bearish. I mean, the denial, not even being able to get over this red EMA substantially at all. That's pathetic. Yep. Any other questions? Anything at all, guys? Anything stand out to any of you? Nothing. VTX price dump today. Yeah. So with VKTX, yeah, this stock is just brutal to trade, man. It's even been brutal to hold, but we're holding this key level. So as long as we hold that, I think it's fine. I think this one's gonna be, and this is why in the swing alerts I said it's gonna be difficult for a lot of you to probably size into this. And I do believe I covered it in last week's recap, but if not, let me just kind of confirm here. I actually think I covered it in class. It wasn't in a recap. Last week's class, which is on YouTube, by the way. All classes will be on YouTube. The thing about this, I guess what we didn't talk about in Clues is the single molecule methodology used for like Ozempic and stuff is according to new research is less effective and has more side effects than the VKTX methodology, right? So the consensus is that this is a better product if it gets approval. The pain in the market is what initially was because of shortages and issues with supply chains. And so people don't think that Viking Therapeutics, even if they get approval, will have the supply chain necessary to be a real provider to the market. And they have this negative drag on the stock. People don't think that they'll even be able to hit mass production for a long time. So they're not sure if they'll really be able to turn profits and make use of the drug. I think that's the easier part to solve, right? Coming up with the molecule is the harder part, right? Different companies like NVO or Novo rather will become a provider. The big pop that we got was well below the actual trigger I wanted, which was the 39. But I went ahead and set up early because of the way that the 65 was developing. At the time, seemed really strong, and there were buyout rumors for Pfizer. The whole reason, by the way, for those who've been following the investments, the whole reason we hold this stock in the investment account, I guess there's two. One, I like the drug. Based on the research, I think the drug's better. Biotech, I've traded pharmaceuticals more than anything else. This is on my comeuppance when I got into trading. All I did was do pharmaceutical penalty stocks, right? I have multiple degrees. My background is in the sciences, biochemistry, biotechnology, pharmaceuticals, right? So that's where I came up. That's my bread and butter. I understand that these things can have brutal sell-offs because people have a hard time identifying what's real value and what's not unless they have expertise. So when I look at something like this, I see that's normal price action. That's what these can do. And then they can have obviously monster moves on confirmations or approvals or buyouts. And so what we talked about in that class was I think that Pfizer is in a position right now where they really need that their board is breathing down their neck and saying, hey, you made an absolute killing off of vaccines, and really this wasn't the company I was thinking would do the buyout. I actually thought Moderna would want the weight loss drug. But, whoever wants to come to the table, doesn't really matter to us, right? We just want a buyout or we want approval. But Pfizer, we get this massive pump, because of vaccines, and what have they done with all the money they made? They haven't done anything. They have nothing coming down the pipeline. I'm not a big fan of that. So I look at Abraham, you're distracting me. I
had a question, but I didn't want to interrupt.
You're good. I just look at where it's at right now, and I feel fine, especially since we're holding that support. Go ahead. What's your question?
My question is for the Hims company. I've been seeing a lot more advertisements for Hims. The only advertisements I ever saw before were like ED medication and hair loss and like men related health. But now I've been seeing a lot of advertisements where they're entering that same space of weight loss.
Yeah,
Have you seen
so
anything?
I've actually been keeping very up to date with Hims. I haven't posted much in the Discord about it, but I have had a close eye on this rally. There has been a few trade opportunities that I haven't moved on, but I've been really watching this retracement carefully. We did hold a key level here at 41. I kind of want to see if we'll get drugged down to this 30, the 34. I don't have this chart marked up. Sorry, guys. I'm kind of lazy when I'm not sharing stuff publicly, but this is what my brain sees immediately. It's like, okay, we've really come back to this key level, but our stronger key level is here at the 34. So I'd really like to see if we kind of get some follow through into earnings. I think even a strangle might be appealing closer to that. Was earnings
Well,
actually
they
in the
just had earnings tonight.
I thought earnings was tomorrow. Okay, wait a second. Let's see what it did here. Oh, that actually brought
No,
us to that key level
they dropped
there.
about $10,
Yeah, look
or
at that.
maybe more.
Okay, so I think tomorrow I'm gonna be watching this either for a front side short down to here, or I might set up some leaps if we continue to hold this key level. Very easy play is what I'll be looking for tomorrow. That's great. I thought earnings was tomorrow, and I was actually considering a strangle. Looks like it's a good thing I didn't, because $8 move was
I took
probably,
a small trade in there.
yeah, you probably sold something. That's good. But for the what you're fundamentally asking though, so Hims sells generics.
Is it this?
Hims sells
That's what I was going to
generics.
ask. Is it
Yeah,
the same
so
technology?
it's not. Yeah, it is actually. It's just generics, but they're not like VKTX. They're more like the Ozempic, um, with like the single molecule mechanism at its core. And so it's just the GLP-1. And so it's got this huge pump because of the rumored shortages that Eli Lilly had. Um, and so the thought was, yes. The thought was that, oh, Hims is going to absolutely. I'm saying yes to what Jan said, by the way, for those who are watching the recording and don't know why I just said that. Um, I try to be cognizant that doing a live class, and we also have a recording going on, because I'm going to post this in the Discord. The thought process, though, from the market and from a lot of speculators, and why we got this massive run up, was because they thought, oh, there's a shortage for the big companies, so generics will thrive. If you do like a cost price analysis and you run through the insurance, it's about the same price to get the generics, unless there's a few cases where some employers in health insurance will pay in full for Ozempic, and they won't for the generics. But if you can't get your Ozempic, you might be tempted to just go to Hims and pay the $40 to $100, depending on what kind of insurance you have, to get that drug in the meantime. However, when the rumors came, when there was clarification in the markets, and Eli Lilly said that they're not really having those supply issues, one, that is actually a reason why we've been kind of hunting around for some upside in Eli Lilly. If you've noticed, we've kind of taken some calls, we've made some money, we've lost some money and made some money on swings, as it's been kind of a more difficult stock to trade, kind of in this range. And I just totally typed Eli instead of LLY.
I was going to
But
say
it has,
that's not right.
yeah, but it has like a really nice cup and handle development. So I do have an alert set here, but with, I think there's more room to run here, given the clarification we got. It didn't even finish this gap, and it's also held up strong. And so if the market and tech continues to be weak, I think LLY is going to present some opportunities. I think UNH also should present some more opportunities. I would really love to see this gap fill. I think the DOJ reports are really overdrawn. So like those are two that I'm really keeping an eye on right now. But that's what's going on with Hims, and yeah, this will be on the watch list tomorrow, because this could be a really nice setup for a reversal. Hims is a real company, though. They've really done well. Shout out to X-Rayed, one of our members. X-Rayed, one of our members, holds this stock at like an average of like $4 or something, I believe, and he initially gave a call out on it back then. like in 2022, and I just did not find it interesting at all back then. And he did and stuck to his thesis, and I'm pretty sure he's a still holder today. So shout out to him, who's been with us for a really long time.
Good for him.
Yeah, he killed that one. What were you gonna say?
It's a good company. No, I was saying I've purchased products from them and I've used them. They're a good company. The app is user friendly. Like it's legit.
I always worry with companies like this that have really strong private market competitors. It's one of the reasons why I was so hesitant to become supportive of like Snow, because there's a private market cloud based company that kind of like eats Snow and like Datadog for lunch, is what all the salespeople tell me. There's a sales manager who works for them. I think it's like Databricks or something. I don't think that's right. I think Databricks is also a publicly traded company, but there's a sales manager for a private company, and he tells me that like, oh, we eat we take all Snow's clients and stuff. So when I hear stuff like that, I really like anecdotal data like that, honestly. So that made me skeptical. And then when you look at something like HIMS, you have to remember that Mark Cuban is the founder of probably the biggest HIMS competitor, and it's still a private market stock. For the life of me, I cannot remember what the name of that is, though. Do you remember what that's called,
His
Abraham?
his prescription service there.
Yeah,
No,
I can't remember either.
I don't remember. No, but I know what you're talking about. It's a pretty basic concept. He's just cutting out the middleman.
DSB, classic DSB comment. All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, the only other thing, quick thoughts on Baba. I was eyeing Baba today. Actually, I almost took some Baba calls. You can see I actually set an alert here. I was actually dragging this alert further and further down throughout the day, kind of following the price action to the downside. I did not. I don't remember if I put this in the weekly report or not, but there was really strong relative strength here into the market selling on Friday, and it made me
She's
think.
outside. I let her out.
Can you mute yourself, please? It made me think that this wanted to get an extension to 160, because we can see here on the longer time frames that we have like great support there. Like 150 is what you want to look for, and then there's like a great gap up that can get filled like to 160. So I think if you get a strong move through like the 148 here, I'm really looking for like this move to come. This might be a third wave for Baba, and so we're looking for now for the fourth wave retracement, in my opinion, especially now that the TTM started to cook to the downside. So from here, yeah, back to 120. I don't think this is something I really want to short. Yeah, no real news. Yeah, so this comes back to 120. Maybe it might do a fake out on the EMAs. I'd probably come in a little bit early, like at 123 with 120 as a stop, because then it can retrace to 104. Then I'd like to get long, and I really want to hunt for the extension. I really want to see if I can get that gap fill. I'm just really eyeing that. That's like a really good like 12-point move on a really long time frame. That would be really appealing. Just with the run that it's had, I just doubt that it just like rolls over and it dies without some major news hitting it. And until we get major news like that, I don't really want to kind of risk it in the short with no clear setups. Could Tesla buy out Rivian? No, there's no incentive to. You know, there's lots of car companies that have like been begging Elon for investments or partnerships, and there's just no reason for them to. Tesla has the best factories. They have, in Elon's opinion, the best tech. You could argue that because Waymo actually has self-driving cars out and about, active in the cities, and Elon doesn't. But he believes that the path he's going with the technology is the best path forward. Again, my Tesla investment doesn't really have much to do with cars. I just think I'm more excited about what the technology in the cars is going to do for the robots in the future. That's what I'm excited about. I think Tesla is the robot play. Just because they have all the infrastructure, they have just everything to go mass scale. No other robotics company, even if they have better tech, can actually hit that scale at the pace that Tesla could. Whereas Tesla, if they want some tech from a robot company that's better than them, they got the capital to just buy it. Richest man in the world. BYD could buy NIO. I don't really trust I don't trust news out of China enough to. The thing with China that you're going to see across the socials is people believe the stuff out of China that they want to believe, and they'll just say that, oh, China's lying again, and they don't believe it. So there might have been buyout rumors for BYD and NIO. There might have not. Everything out of China, only thing I want to see out of China is real price action. Everything else is noise, in my opinion. Just I don't believe anything. Otherwise, if you believe one thing or disbelieve anything, you better be like a really, really in tune geopolitical expert or firsthand knowledge. Otherwise, you're really just guessing, or you're just a victim of your biases. It's too easy to fall into that trap, I should say. Because we all got biases. It's whether or not you're aware of them. I guess the only thing that I want to add is I'm still keeping a really close eye on gold. And I mean, just look, I haven't been talking about this, and I think I might do a full video on gold. Because this just looks really terrible. Gold looks fantastic. But what gold being fantastic when the rest of the market looks like this means is bad. Like really bad. Like globally bad. You do not want to see gold have this type of price action when global, and at the same time have the U.S. markets weak, Chinese market strong, Germany in a recovery. There's actually several different emerging markets that are doing really well temporarily. If that trend continues and gold continues to inflate rapidly, not a great scenario. Not really what you want to see. So we don't have time to really break all that down. It's a lot. So I might do a video on it. I've already been considering it. Before I do that, though, I need to finish. Let me kind of share this with you guys. I need to finish the rest of these. So if you haven't seen it yet, let me swap up my screen. So we've got all these documents, right? I'm writing like all the indicators I used, building off like what we had previously in the technical analysis section, right? I kind of broke up some of the other educational stuff we have, right? So now if you go to the educational section below the weekly report channel, right? Not at the bottom of the Discord room. I'm about to delete that once I finish with the new technical education, and then I'll make one for the funded trading and the future strategies that we use. So like I have all of these coming out, the full playbook with all the plays. Then I'll have separate ones for each of the playbooks with more examples than we have actually in the playbook section. So I'll probably be getting rid of the playbook section, or I might change how the organization of that is. But the other thing is like I have an AI that I'm using so that when people comment on my Twitter, they can get these for free, and then they all include links to join the Discord. So it's also a marketing tool that I'm using. There's two reasons: one, more organized Discord; two, marketing tactics. Give people value, and then use that as a stepping stone to get them in the Discord. So that's what's going on, and that's what I'm working on, and what I should be able to finish up this tonight. So I'm going to go have some dinner with my wife and child. Is there any last questions Video on gold would be fire. Full precious metals overview would be epic too. I'm definitely not going to step into. I would need to do too much research to really give a. I might briefly touch on silver, but I'm not going to go into like platinum or, down the chain of importance. That's too much. Too much research I got to do. I don't like to venture out of what I actually feel comfortable talking about. If I venture too far out of my expertise, I risk too much of saying something stupid and then having a bunch of Redditors roast me because I didn't know that platinum has complex on chain or something. It's actually used in certain high quality watches and you didn't think about it's something weird, obscure that I don't know because I just don't know. All right, y'all have a good night. Okay, thanks for coming. Love your faces. Hope you're getting value out of the Discord. If you have any questions, you need anything, let me know. And I'll be doing more live during the day and sharing my screen. There were some comments about that. I didn't know it was a problem, guys. You guys don't tag me, I don't know. Okay, but if you could always tag me if I'm not in a live chat and say, Josh, hop in a live chat, answer my question, okay? Especially for you that are pro members. Like, so what you pay for. If you want me in the chat, I'll come on the dime, Sometimes I'm just being lazy and just sitting here. But I'm always, very close by. So you got a question, you're trying to work out a trade, you want to talk to me. Send me a DM, ping me in the Discord. I'm there, So I'll be doing better. I'll be hanging out. I'll probably set up a stage channel as well for pro members, and I will just leave my screen on and being shared or the actual brokerage application or something so you guys can always